I want to tell you about a group of women, average age around 65. Many had osteoporosis, and researchers asked them to do heavy squats, deadlifts, overhead presses, and impact training. Now, at this point, many people, including many doctors, would say absolutely not. Because for decades, osteoporosis advice was built around one idea: be careful, avoid falls, avoid impact, avoid heavy lifting. Sounds sensible, but these researchers asked a very uncomfortable question. What if fragile bones are becoming more fragile, partly because we stopped loading them? And what happened next surprised a lot of people in medicine. Later in this video, I'll show you how much bone density changed, why some women actually became taller, and the ones safety detail most social media clips completely leave out. Stay with me. I am Dr. Naveen Thiyagu, orthopedic surgeon. Today we are going to discuss the LIFTMOR trial, one of the most important osteoporosis studies in recent years. We will cover what the study actually found, what it means, what it does not mean, and what the science says about strength training after menopause. First, we need to understand one important thing: bone is alive. Most people think of bone like a furniture, solid, fixed, permanent. But bone is highly active tissue. It is constantly being broken down and rebuilt. Bone responds to mechanical load, and when you put meaningful force through the bone, the body receives a signal. This structure is being used, maintain it, build it. When you remove that challenge, body slowly reduces investment in that tissue. This is essentially use it or lose it biology. Honestly, some of our skeletons are probably confused. We sit all day, take elevators, avoid stairs, and then expect our bones to behave like Olympic athletes at 75. The skeleton is probably sitting there thinking the heaviest thing you lifted this month was emotional stress. Bone remodeling in response to load is referred to as Wolff's law. And in this creates fascinating question: if bone responds to loading, are we loading it enough after menopause? And in a moment, you will see why the answer to that question forced many researchers to completely rethink traditional osteoporosis advice. After menopause, the bone loss accelerates because the estrogen plays an important role in regulating bone remodeling balance. When estrogen declines, bone breakdown increases, bone formation struggles to keep up, and bone density gradually falls. The sites more affected are lumbar spine and the femoral neck, which is the upper part of the thigh bone just below the hip joint. These are also the most dangerous fracture sites in older women. A hip fracture is not just a broken bone, it can significantly affect mobility, independence, and quality of life. And unfortunately, bones are not like phone backups. You cannot ignore them for 20 years and expect everything to restore perfectly later. So historically, many women were told, don't lift heavy things, be careful. That advice came from genuine concern, not from bad intention. But science evolves and sometimes medicine changes. Not because earlier doctors were wrong to be cautious, but because better evidence arrives. This is where the LIFTMOR study becomes important. The LIFTMOR stands for Lifting Intervention for Training Muscle and Osteoporosis Rehabilitation, published in Journal of Bone and Mineral Research in 2018 by Watson and his colleagues. The study enrolled 101 postmenopausal women with either osteopenia or osteoporosis, meaning low to very low bone mass, average age around 65. They were randomized into two groups. Group 1, low intensity home exercises, walks, stretches, and light resistance. Group 2, supervised high intensity resistance and impact training, twice weekly, 30 minutes per session for 8 months under close professional supervision. And the exercises: no tiny pink dumbbells. They performed deadlifts, back squats, overhead presses, and jumping chin-ups with controlled drop landings at greater than 85% of one repetition maximum. That is genuinely heavy training. Before someone completely misunderstands me, this is not grandmother discovers high intensity training and frightens the entire neighborhood. The participants were properly screened, carefully supervised, technically coached, and progressed gradually. In fact, the first month of the program focused entirely on learning movements movement patterns at low loads and body weight. They are researchers, not people who ignore safety protocols. And now, the result that made many clinicians pay attention because the changes were not just statistically significant, they were clinically meaningful. After 8 months, the high intensity training group improved lumbar spine bone mineral density by approximately 2.9%. The control group lost bone density at approximately 1.2%. That is a 4 percentage point separation between the two groups. At femoral neck, one of the most critical fracture risk sites, bone density was significantly better preserved in the training group. But here is what I find most compelling. The women also improved leg extensor strength, back extensor strength, balance, sit to stand performance, and overall functional mobility, all significantly. And the training group showed a small but significant improvement in height. Yes, they lifted heavy and they stood taller. This is because the back extensor strength gains reduced spinal kyphosis, the forward rounding of the upper spine that is so common in postmenopausal women with osteoporosis. Stronger back, better posture, measurably taller, and honestly, if a 30-minute exercise program twice a week improves bone density, posture, strength, and functional mobility, that is already performed better than most other health intentions made in January. Now we come to the most important question. Was this dangerous? The training group completed more than 2,600 exercise sessions. Across those sessions, no fractures occurred, no serious injuries, one minor low back muscle strain, one participant who missed 2 sessions returned and completed the program. That is extremely important finding, a critical scientific nuance. The researchers themselves clearly acknowledged that the study was not specifically powered to assess safety as a primary outcome. Many women assessed for participation were excluded because of medical conditions, cardiovascular contraindications, musculoskeletal issues, or inability to attend supervised sessions. This was a selected, relatively healthy population. The correct takeaway is not everyone with osteoporosis should begin heavy lifting tomorrow. The correct takeaway is carefully selected, appropriately screened, professionally supervised women with low bone mass may tolerate progressive high load resistant training far better than many people previously assumed. In medicine, there is an important difference between this protocol requires proper screening and supervision. I watched one motivational video and I am now unstoppable. Please stay firmly on the correct side of the line. One more important point before we reach the practical section. Exercise is not the only relevant factor in postmenopausal bone and cardiovascular health. Hormone therapy also has a role, and the evidence has here is more nuanced than online discussions usually reflect. There is a major randomized controlled trial called LIFTMOR Trial, published in New England Journal of Medicine, which examined the effects of estradiol on vascular health in postmenopausal women. The findings suggested that the timing of initiation may matter significantly, with earlier initiation after menopause appearing to carry a different cardiovascular profile than initiation much later. This is called the timing hypothesis. And it genuinely deserves a full, careful discussion in a separate video because the evidence here is genuinely interesting and far more nuanced than simply saying hormones are always beneficial or always harmful. For today, the key point is this: exercise and hormone therapy work through different mechanisms, both have a role, neither replaces the other. Any decision about hormone therapy should be made in consultation with your own doctor based on your individual history, contraindications, and circumstances. And now, in the final section, the biggest mistake people make after watching studies like this one: please do not watch this video, walk into a gym tomorrow, and attempt a heavy deadlift while your family watches nervously. I say this with genuine warmth. The LIFTMOR protocol works because of three things. Number one, proper screening was there. Know your bone density, know your fracture risk, get a DEXA scan if you have not. Two, professional supervision, an exercise physiologist or physiotherapist experienced with this population, someone who can coach technique and progress load safely. Three, gradual progression. The first month in LIFTMOR was entirely about movement patterns at low loads. Only then did intensity increase. For most people watching this, a sensible foundation includes regular walking, 2 resistance assisted training sessions per week, compound movements, squats, deadlifts, pressing, pulling, adequate protein intake roughly about 1.2 to 1.6 grams per kilogram of body weight per day, vitamin D and calcium reviewed with your doctor, and a conversation with the doctor about whether bone density testing is applicable for you. This is your starting point. Heavier supervised work can come later. When the foundation is in place and the right support is available, for years, osteoporosis care focused heavily on protection, and protection matters, but increasingly the science is also reminding us about adaptation. The skeleton is still listening even after menopause, even after 60, even with low bone density. So perhaps the goal is not only protecting the fragile bones. Perhaps the goal is building stronger people. And sometimes the body is capable of far more adaptation than fear allows us to believe. This video is for general education purpose only and does not replace individualized medical advice. Exercise programs for osteoporosis should be tailored to the individual based on medical history, fracture risk, mobility, and overall health status. Please consult a qualified healthcare professional before beginning any new exercise program. Thank you. See you in the next video. Goodbye.